Does the origin of the guitar actually matter? Let's take a dive. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Matt, and this channel is all about guitars, amps, and IR pedals now as well. But yeah, if that's something that you're interested in, subscribe, hit the like button, and there will be more. So without further ado, let's talk about the made in and where the origin of these guitars are from, and does that actually matter? So I'm a huge fan of Strats, as you know, and I know Fender has been in a lot of headlines nowadays, but this video isn't really talking about that stuff, okay? It's actually talking about the actual quality of where guitars are made, and this doesn't just apply to Fender, but because I own both of these Fender guitars, and I'm not planning to sell it or anything, I wanted to kind of discuss like the actual quality of this. Just kind of get back to, guitar talk in general. But let's kind of bring it back to the basics, and let's talk about, does the origin actually matter? Whether it's made in USA, made in Mexico, made in Japan. And as you know, Fender is now moving a lot of their Fender guitars, their standard series, to Indonesia since 2025. So kind of wanted to touch upon that because Fender has always been a brand where most of the guitars, including the standard line, has always been made in Mexico. But with this new, with this new factory and everything, it kind of makes everything a little bit more interesting, I guess. So the first thing I really want to talk about is the price gap, right? And the thing is that when I was buying a guitar back in the day, like 20 plus years ago, when I was looking for my first guitar, people always said the same thing over and over again, like, oh yeah, made in USA, that's premium quality, better quality control, better wood. It's just a better guitar in general, and if you want to be a pro, you better get a made in USA. And that's what people kept saying back in the day. And there is a little bit of truth to that, I'm not going to lie, because I think CNC machines, which we'll talk about a little bit more, is that things have come a long way since then. Nowadays, you can get so many different types of guitars at certain price points, and they're quality. And it's all thanks to CNC machines, better precision. I think the quality of these machines creating these guitars have been so good. But mainly because for the Stratocaster in general, it's such a common shape that's been done over and over the years by Fender, by a lot of brands that copy this as well. So you're getting a lot of a very kind of a tried and true guitar. So it's not that hard to replicate. And there's a reason why the Stratocaster is, known as a parts caster sometimes, because all you really need is, get a neck. It's a bolt-on neck, right? It's not like a Gibson, a Les Paul, or an SG where it's a glued-in set neck. So in terms of like building a Stratocaster, it's pretty easy. Now the thing about these Stratocasters is that like I noticed over the years, they've gotten a lot more expensive. And of course a lot of this has to do with inflation and everything like that. But you're looking at American Professional Series, which has been kind of rebranded from American Standard Series. Now they're at like upwards of $2,500 for this guitar. And that really got me thinking, because this guitar here, the black one here, is American Professional too. This blue one here that I have is a made in Mexico Vintera. And that black one costs more than double than this guitar. But if I'm being completely honest, I don't think it's double the value. No way. Like, nobody's going to, if somebody played these guitars back to back, they're not going to be like, wow, that black guitar is more than 2 times better than this one. Nobody's going to say that. course, there's the whole part about having it as a, better resale value. Sure. But for me, I don't really buy guitars based on that alone. I'm more of a collector. I like guitars, and I just buy a guitar that I enjoy playing. I don't really intend to sell it, so the resale isn't that high on my priority. All right, so let's talk about why place of origin doesn't actually matter. The first thing is, when it comes to solid body guitars, a lot of people want to say wood. You're getting better wood, selected premium wood grade, the finest wood there is. And yeah, when you look closely to it, you can kind of see that there are certain woods that do look a little bit better. And the finish is nicer. I do agree that when it comes to the neck does kind of pop a bit, but it doesn't affect the playing in any way. That's the thing, right? It doesn't affect the playing in any way. So the question is that why would you spend so much money on something that doesn't really affect the playing? Then there is the body. Now, traditionally speaking, most guitars are Alder. Now, this is Alder, and Alder, when it comes to strats, Alder is a pretty popular wood for density and tonal qualities. If you notice Squire guitars, or even some of the copies like from Ibanez, they use wood like Basswood, Poplar for the body, and those type of woods are cheaper and they are softer. So I did drop one of my Ibanez before by accident, and it actually did dent. It dented really easily, and that was kind of that's a little bit disappointing because it kind of showed that the wood was a little bit too soft. Whereas I've kind of beat around these guitars and they don't really, scratch or anything, which is kind of cool. The scratch here that you see, this was actually done that way. It's a nitro finish, so the guitar is actually supposed to be like that when it was purchased. And I kind of wanted to bring my SG here just to kind of show both of these guitars are actually nitro finish. This one obviously is, it's a Gibson, it's made in USA. And this one is made in Mexico. But you can kind of tell in terms of the craftsmanship that, the nitro finish looks great on both. It's like a very nice thin layer. You see some checking on it. So it's just like in terms of the quality, you're really not getting. I really feel like you're not really getting that much in terms of where it's made. Like, especially with the increase in the premiums. I think the biggest thing though is that you're really paying for labor costs and overhead when it comes to buying something in domestic markets, right? Obviously, things are going to be more expensive in North America, so you're really paying for that. The engineers, all the guitar builders, salaries are going to be higher, so obviously you're going to have to pay for that. So the other day, I actually went to the guitar shop, and there was this Strat copy, and it looked really nice. It was like a relic guitar. It looked kind of cool. And I noticed a brand. It was called Jet Guitars. And I was floored by the price. It was like $500, $400 for a guitar that actually featured rosewood, which is kind of cool because rosewood in general, at least for Fender's case, they don't put rosewood unless it's like on American Professional or one of their higher grade made in Mexico guitars. Rosewood is a little bit more harder to come by when it comes to putting it on a fretboard. So I was looking at Jet guitars and some of these other brands that were putting rosewood in their entry line guitars, and that was kind of surprising. And it kind of made me realize like maybe it doesn't even matter where the origin is, because there are brands out there. If you don't want to get a Fender, that's okay. There are guitars out there where you can get some really good materials and wood that feature, for example, rosewood. And believe it or not, these Jet guitars, when I looked it up, they were made in China. But things are changing now, I guess. And, I think if you don't really care about the origin, then you're really going to save a lot of money. Because when I played the Jet guitar and a Squire, if I'm being honest, I think the Jet guitar actually played better. Fretwork was nicer. Uh, it didn't sound too bad. I did notice the pickups weren't that good, and I think those are part of things that you're gonna have to compromise on. So there are three things that really determine whether made in etc. is important for you or not important. And I really think these are three reasons why where the origin is no longer matters in the guitar industry today. And I think we're going to feel a big shift in the guitar community. I think a lot of people are going to be very hesitant in buying boutique made guitars because there's just so much value in the entry level guitars nowadays. It's very different from 20 years ago when I was starting out. Like 20 years ago when I was buying a $200 guitar, it wouldn't last long. It would probably be like after a year I would have to throw it away, and that's what I did. I remember back in the day I had this ESP EC50, really cool guitar. It was like a Les Paul copy, but yeah, pickups were terrible, fretwork wasn't good, it didn't stay in tune that well, and this was like a $150 guitar, right? But nowadays it's very different. So what is changed about that? I think the first one is pretty obvious. CNC machinery has been so much better. It's been upgraded. It's definitely one of the best there is now. And so whether you're in Indonesia or whether you're in the California factory, it doesn't really matter where now because everything's done by machines. And these American professionals, they're not like hand built or anything, right? So what you're really getting is that you're just getting a machine that's building these guitars in a different factory, right? So if that's the case, then why are you paying a premium? Why does that matter then, right? Why does that matter to guitars? The second thing that usually defines a premium guitar made in USA and guitar made in Indonesia, for example, is fretwork. I think fretwork's a very, very big one. It's a bit harder to check, but again, it comes down to CNC machines, and the quality control has been a lot better producing it. So like, there's fewer dead spots. They're not as sharp. The fretwork is not as bad, and you can start to tell that it's actually pretty comfortable for a lot of these cheaper guitars out there now. And then finally, the third thing, right, is the pickups and the hardware. This has been upgraded a lot, and they're no longer really using generic brands. A lot of these have been kind of passed down from their higher end models. So there you have it. Those are my thoughts on it. Kind of want to hear what you guys think. Do you still care about where a guitar is made or the origin? Does that even matter to you? And if so, why? Leave a comment. I'd love to hear why. Maybe there's value that I'm missing. But nowadays, when I go shop, when I go look for a guitar, whether I don't really care about where it's made anymore. I just walk into a guitar shop, I pick up something that looks cool, I play it, and I'm like, hey, this looks cool. I look at the back of the headstock. Oh, it's actually a made in Indonesia guitar. Cool. No wonder it's so much cheaper. And then I buy it. That's me. Because I feel like the quality gap has gotten a lot smaller over the years. And I think it's going to get even smaller thanks to globalization, right? So there you have it. Whatever you do, keep playing guitar and keep rocking out, keep making music. All right, I'll see you guys in the next video.